What the heck is a quad lock?
Watch this to find out.
Whether you're in the car, on the bike, on the water, in the air, your phone is an important tool. Keep it secure with Quad Lock.
So many people in supercars bitch and moan about parity. It's the best touring car series in the world. At the end of the day, Jamie was the managing director and I was not. Was I fully satisfied in that role? No. I remember them asking me specifically, do you want to be on the marketing side or the competition side? And I said 100% competition.
How shit scared was Shane when he had to tell RD that you two were dating officially?
Then I said something, I'm not going to tell you what I said, and RD just started crying. Not like full blubbing,
She said
but
I'm in
like,
love with him.
no, God
Elliot.
no.
Oh no! He's in defence! The boat's in defence! They're all in defence! Oh, unbelievable!
Are you nervous?
To talk to you, Bricks. Terrified.
Take it away, Jess. You can do the first one.
Do you know how to do it?
I think I've got it.
Okay.
You hold your drink, you say sound check, and then you open your drink.
You're all over because even Shane stuffs it up. Go for it.
What a pro. How do you stuff that up? Sound check.
Sound check.
Sound check. That was the best pronounced sound check we've ever had.
Thanks for having us.
Sound check.
Cheers, Barbara.
Cheers, mate.
Good eye contact. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for being in my house.
We've commandeered Shane's bar. We actually does look. We said last on the pod. I don't know what order we'll put them out in yet. But our listeners, if you are wondering why it's different, we've taken over Shane's bar and Jesse's bar.
It's
Mooresville.
Wallace's bar.
Wallace's bar. Okay.
Yeah.
Wallace Bar and Grill.
We've taken it over so much that we actually I ordered an online canvas. It arrived today, so it's taken up the back there. We have the OG founders, Shane and Foster, on the wall with myself and Elliot. Yes, that's alcohol on my shirt, and Elliot looks like he's out of a boy band.
That was a big night. Shane had hair then too, so it was a while ago, as you can tell.
But welcome on the show.
No, it's good to be here. Thanks very much for having me.
I'm assuming you're a big fan.
Massive fan. Listen every week. Is it weekly? I don't know. Jokes. No, I do. I do tune in.
And we go way back, actually. I will...
Let's skip over the embarrassing bit.
Yeah. It's as
God.
embarrassing for me as it is for you. But 2010, you were doing your journalism degree and you interviewed me at Double R Racing. So we have been friends for a long time, crossed paths obviously with Roland, becoming my manager then. But what I wanted to ask, was it just RD's sort of involvement in motorsport that piqued your interest in it? Because given what you've gone on to do now, you could almost work in any industry and you've chose to stay in motorsport. When did that begin, or how did that begin?
So obviously grew up around racetracks. Like when RD was driving, I had this really great ability to like fall asleep as the green flag went and then wake up as the checkered flag fell. So I don't actually know if I ever saw any of RD's races, but also equally, like, there's a reason that he became a team owner and gave up driving. So maybe I wasn't missing much. So yeah, I spent the first few years of my life.
Devastated hearing that.
Oh yeah. So I mean, look, he's the first person to own it. Like, he's the first person to say, recognize your limitations.
Well,
steering was one of his.
Yeah.
Does he
Still
though?
goes okay though.
At QR, like a week ago, he was showing me that he's still got the lap record in an XL around QR. It's on their board in the driver's briefing room.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
was Brody driving it then or something? He was just entered as you. He didn't like that.
No,
That is
he
something
goes
he would
okay.
do.
When during COVID when he got back, everyone was racing Hyundai XLs and he was like dusting it off. Still got me to order him a suit from OMP so that he could be all professional.
You had a car yourself then, didn't you? Did I see you had an XL for a bit?
RD bought me an XL and then proceeded to race it himself.
Dogs. This is we did want to touch on that. Just sorry to interrupt, but the dogs have come running in. We've got Ronald and Steve
Ronald.
have joined the show. How are we looking, Paul? Has everything been...
We're all good. Well done, Steve.
But
Ronald just wants to be on camera, but I think you're too low.
we can
aren't you, bud?
circle back to everything, but we're pretty much at a farm here.
Yeah.
Has this been always an interest to you? As we've got, what have you got here in Mooresville with you? What's the animals? What's the list?
Yeah, we call it a farm. It's kind of like a hobby farm. So there are about, what is Steve eating?
As long as it's not a microphone, we're good.
As long as it's not a piece of equipment. Thanks. Yeah, we call it a farm, but yeah, it's a hobby farm. So there's about 18 horses here, which are friends, the Wilsons. So great people. Chris Wilson works for Penske. A lot of people in the Supercars paddock would know them. Renee used to help out in hospitality and things. So yeah, very well known in Australia. Moved over here in 2020 and became like they're our rock over here. So they run we lease like the land and the facilities, the equestrian facilities to the Wilsons, to Renee. And she runs a boarding business out of here. So there's about 18 horses here at the moment. One of them is mine, despite Shane, he threw into an interview recently that I've got like 12 horses. I have one horse. I have one horse.
Apparently yours is the feisty one.
She's got some attitude.
It's a little bit
Don't know where
scary.
she gets that from.
Yeah, that was the only horse he warned us about when we were feeding them the other day. So just be careful of Jess as it is.
No, she's sweet. He's mean to her. Anyway, 18 horses. We've got 2 dogs who I don't know. Oh, they're about to have a punch up. Ronald's got his snarly face on. 2 dogs, Ronald and Steve. We have 5 cats, 3 of which we adopted with the house. So when we moved in, we just inherited these cats with the house. And then we rescued another 2 almost a year ago as kittens. And they're the coolest. I'm not a cat person, but they're really cool. And then we've got 3 goats, chickens and ducks. And we recently also inherited a cow.
Annie is probably one of my favorite. I think Annie the cow.
Annie the cow, yeah.
The goats
Annie
are
the
pretty
orphan
scary.
cow,
The
because
goat-
she was rescued from the field from the farmer next door. Paige, who's Paige Wilson, spotted her in a field and went and rescued her. So she's not our cow, but she's becoming part of the furniture here.
I didn't realise how funny goats were too till we met them the first day. They were jumping off crates and chasing Paul, our cameraman / producer, around, which was pretty funny. But you've gone from hobby farms and you are now the program manager at Corvette Racing.
Yes,
What
I
a
am.
transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you get that? You made that sound like she's gone from a farmer.
Yeah, farming,
to a program manager.
farming at night and then
Interesting
running
segue.
a Corvette racing program during the day.
I mean, it's pretty accurate. I'll go to work in the morning like everyone else, but then I get home, do the animals before I leave, and then get home and I will just go and sit with the birds for half an hour, because it's just all of the stresses of the day just kind of melt away when you're surrounded by the animals, and suddenly it just doesn't, all of that stuff doesn't matter anymore, because it's my happy place. And it's definitely being here. I feel so fortunate that we were able to get this place and end up here, because it's made the whole transition of being here in the US a lot easier. And it's also we wouldn't be able to have this in Australia. Shane and I are both half an hour from our respective workplaces, and we have 21 acres in what feels like the middle of nowhere, but is actually only 10 minutes from Mooresville town centre.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Not that there's a great deal going on there, but it's enough. There's a pub and a brewery and a couple of restaurants and supermarket.
frequented there. We visited it last night with the Wilsons as well. It's very good. It's nice. Mooresville's good.
Yeah, there's enough to do. So it's I feel very, very fortunate to have ended up here, and it's the first time in my life that I have had somewhere that I look forward to coming home to from a race weekend. Previously, I've always been my happy place is a racetrack, and now my happy place is here. So that's pretty cool.
What was the transition like when you first came over? Because this has been something. We spoke to James Small, and there's a lot of people that are interested in coming over here. So I think it's good insight. It's not easy, but the opportunity seems like there's just amazing opportunities out here for people. But what was it like when you left Australia and first landed here, and those first few months? You're obviously renting a place. What was the experience like when you first came out?
We were fortunate that Trackhouse made it really easy for us. They looked after a lot. They found the house for us. They just paid for the house themselves, rather than us having to try to get a rent and all that complicated stuff. Very, very grateful to Trackhouse for making that really easy for us. Equally, bringing Ronald over here was surprisingly easy. Was emailing a lady and she organized stuff, and then we just had to pay a lot of money, and he got on a plane and arrived here. But what was really difficult was they don't make it easy to be an immigrant here, essentially. You can't, your driver's license isn't recognized, so you have to take a driving test again. You can't open a bank account because you don't have US ID. You can't get US ID because you don't have a social security number. You can't get a social security number because you don't have an address. You can't get an address because we have an address, fortunately, but a lot of people can't get an address because they can't, they're not in a position to be able to rent because they don't have a credit rating, for instance. All of that stuff, it's just it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And
every time you go for something, there's something else you don't have.
Yeah. And nobody is, or very, very few people are helpful when you are man, I went to go and get my driving test. I went to go and get my driving license. I didn't know I needed to have taken a test. Nowhere online does it say that you have to take a test. So very grateful for all the people who'd come before us, like the Wilsons, people like Lee Diffie were a lot of help, Marcus Sam, all those guys who were kind of giving either me advice or Shane advice, and just, really solid in helping us do that. So I always say, like, we relied on so much on other people. So anyone else who wants to come over, I'm all for, like, share the knowledge, share, like, just make it easier for each other, because it's brutal.
And the only way to get through it is probably experience. So
exactly. It's the little things, like knowing which DMV to go to, which is where you get your vehicle, like your license and stuff like that. It's just little stuff like that you're like, why is this so painful? And having moved countries, having moved from the UK to Australia, that was so easy. You can open a bank account, no worries. You need TFN, you get it here, like, no worries. Everything is so easy. Coming over here, they're like, we don't actually want you. Or that's the way you feel.
Hunters, I just want to take a moment to thank one of our fantastic supporters, Shaw & Partners Financial Services. Shaw & Partners are a leading national investment advice and wealth management firm. They act for and on behalf of individuals, institutions, corporates, charities, and family offices. So, if you're looking for advice or assistance with investments or strategies, look no further than Shaw & Partners Financial Services. With a 35-year history and 8 offices strategically placed all over Australia, their financial advisors are within reach and ready to provide tailored solutions and advice. For more information, follow the link in the description of this podcast. Back to the show. Yeah, so you started in journalism. I guess your interest in the sport, has it changed, over the years on what you wanted to do within the sport?
I think to an extent, as I have been through various roles in the sport, like PR and media manager through to like partnerships executive, team coordinator, and taken on different roles in motorsport over the years, and going back to media, like going full circle and going back into like the reporting and the journal and the TV hosting side of things when I was like doing the Australian Rally Championship and doing speed series and things. So it kind of went full circle a bit then. Excuse me. But I think it's changed over the years as I've kind of wanted to have more of an effect on the outcome of going racing. That's probably always been my main thing with like each role that I've taken on, like how can I have the best effect on, and previously Triple Eight, and obviously I had a vested interest in making sure Triple Eight was going as well as possible because I was part owner of it. But I remember sitting there with RD and saying, I want to be in a position where I have an impact on going racing, and that means like sitting in debriefs and understanding how all that works. I'm not an engineer. Like I was a mechanic for all of 6 months and can't remember shit about that.
Is that true? Because I had read that just before and I was like, I need to ask if you're actually on the tools or did someone get it wrong in the story? So you 12 spanners as well as everything else. Yeah,
first job at Triple Eight Race Engineering. So I was just turned 18 and RD was like, well, she's a cocky teenager. I need to bring her down a peg or two. Yeah. And he said that having spent very little time with me during my teenage years, like we saw him for 3 weeks a year and stuff on holidays, and that was it. But
and he must have moved out here well before you did. Not here, sorry, we're in America.
Australia.
A long time before you did.
Yeah, when I was like 12, I think he moved out. I didn't actually know that he had moved for like the first 6 months of him living in Australia.
Really?
Found out from my friend.
Oh, there you go.
She's like, what's it like with your dad living in Australia? And I was like, he doesn't live in Australia. And her mum was in the car as well, and she was like, pretty sure he does.
Come on, RD.
Oh.
So communication was big then?
Yeah, really good. Real solid, yeah.
So you actually, I imagine, started changing brake hats at Triple Eight.
Yeah,
You and sub-assembly, because that's exactly where they punted me into when I joined the team.
Yeah, I had paved the way for you. No, I went in there as, an 18-year-old. And I actually wanted to. I had been thinking, I knew I was going over to Australia. I knew I was working with Triple Eight, and I had been kind of trying to pluck up the courage to ask RD, like, is this something can I learn stuff about being on the car? Can I be a mechanic? And then he actually suggested it to me. Well, he didn't suggest, he told me in his dictatorial way. He was like, no, you're going and working in sub-assembly. And I was like, great, that's actually what I wanted to do. So straight in, first day, pulling brakes apart, cleaning, a lot of cleaning, of course, but pulling apart and building brakes. I remember and a few other bits and pieces, like used to help on the gearboxes and stuff. But I remember at my first race with Triple Eight then was Phillip Island. It was the 500 back then. And finding out in the pub on the Sunday night, somebody said, oh yeah, the brakes that you built were on the car. And I was like, the fuck? Why would anyone use something I built? And then I was like, okay, so this is serious. Like,
I think
I'm not just pissing around. Like, this stuff is actually having if I screw this up, it won't be pretty.
Yeah, you're actually part of the performance already.
Yeah, back then, yeah. And then, going back to the performance thing, over the years, it's just been like finding a way to, or seeing where I can have a place to add the most benefit to the performance of the team. And yeah, that was difficult at Triple Eight. Like I was a team owner, and Steve, what are you doing?
Yeah. I have to say, you've probably got the most energy. I mean, I'm used to 2 bulldogs back home. So the energy of Steve is
Steve's up and about.
unbelievable.
Whereas Ronald down here is the most peaceful angel in the world.
Yeah, he is.
But yeah, when fast forward to moving to the US, I kind of saw it as a bit of a clean slate of like, okay, I know Teamland pretty much inside out, although not having spent that much time with other teams for obvious reasons. But yeah, a bit of a clean slate. And I was like, okay, I want to work for a category or a manufacturer or something like a supplier or something like that. So with that in mind, I also thought I'm going to be, with my CV, I'm going to be pigeonholed into like a marketing or a PR type role, and I did not want that. When I started talking to GM, they approached me. An engineer who we worked with, or who worked with Shane for Chicago back in 23, Shane passed him. He was at a GM. He was a GM engineer. Shane gave him my CV, and Zach very kindly passed it on to Eric Warren, who is the vice president of GM Motorsports. And unbeknownst to me, I get like, that was all happening without my knowledge. And then Eric emails me one evening and is like, hi, Jessica, my name's Eric Warren. Can you please come into the tech center for a chat one day? So I was like, sure, like I need a job, so yes. Went in and met with him and Jim Campbell, who some people in Australia would be familiar with because he's probably been the biggest name from the US side of GM that people have kind of heard of, and met with them back in early January and stayed in touch. They basically created a role for me, but I remember sitting with them I went to Daytona to keep handing out CVs and keep trying to Daytona 24, I should say, the IMSA race, and was trying to, get noticed, get a job, try and convince somebody that I was worth a shot. And I remember them asking me specifically, do you want to be on the marketing side or the competition side? And I said 100% competition. Like I don't want. I've been in marketing. I can do it. Like if that is my way to a visa, then I will do it. But right now I have the luxury of choice and competition. I want to be on the competition side.
And once you're in that other area, it's probably difficult to transition or get people to trust that you could transition. You're almost better off starting at a lower level in competition side and earning your stripes there than trying to transition, which is, it's probably worked out quite well. You got into that side of the business early. Yeah,
and ironically, the first role that I was brought into GM for, which basically they took my CV and wrote a job description for it just to help me get a foot in the door at GM and get me a visa, which, obviously grateful for that. Yeah. But that was much more, my title was Motorsports Integration Manager, and that was much more, I don't want to say fluffy, but I didn't have like a directive. I didn't have a purpose. It was like, see if you can make this better and see if you can work on that and develop. And in that role, I was hitting roadblocks, and it was frustrating. And I made it. I was vocal about that at GM. I was like, I have all these ideas and things I want to do, but I'm struggling to get things done. And then the Corvette Racing Program Manager role came up, and I'm good friends with my predecessor. And I knew that she was moving roles within GM, and so I was like, I've already been semi-working across some of this stuff, like in the role of Motorsports Integration Manager. Given my legal background, I was doing a lot of work on the contract side of things for the sports car side, both Cadillac and Corvette. So I had kind of been positioning myself to be a good candidate for that role, and then got asked, if you want this role is yours. And I was like, absolutely, yes.
Are you enjoying the role now, which is you're in charge of the operations, I guess, and managing all of the Corvette program in GD3?
Yeah, so we call it, it's Corvette racing because in case we expand into like GT4 or a one make series or something like that, future proofing ourselves.
Yep.
It used to be just GT3, and now that when I took the role, it was kind of the title was changed in case we add GT4 or something like that in the future. But yeah, basically oversee that whole program. Still very young. This is only our second year of running GT3 cars. Previously, everyone would be, well, not everyone, but if you've watched sports car racing, if you've watched IMSA, if you've watched Le Mans, you would be familiar with the Corvette, the yellow Corvettes run by Pratt Miller.
Yep.
Steve, what are you doing?
Doing a box.
He's having a good time.
Can you hear that on the mics? Or is it all right?
It's nothing compared to the trams and everything that we have going on.
It's like we're gonna just keep whipping things out.
Yeah.
He'll be right. He'll be fine.
It's all right. It doesn't really matter. He's having a good time.
Are you enjoying yourself? Hello. Yes, babe. Where were we?
Well, is it Pratt Miller that you work closely with mostly?
Yeah. So
Pratt Miller Racing.
our structure is. Oh yeah, I would say like if you'd have seen if you've watched Le Mans, watched him, so you've seen the yellow Pratt
Yeah,
Miller
the iconic.
Corvettes.
Yep.
So that was under like the GTE GTLM rules, and then when that was phased out and GT3 took over in a way for making it in an effort to what's the word for bringing everything together?
Consolidate?
Consolidating all the various GT categories. Everything was consolidated to just GT3. So suddenly GM was like, well, we're going from the realm of purely professional racing to now customer racing, where we have to build, the rules are you have to build 20 cars within a 2-year period and sell them. So it brings a whole new brings a whole new aspect to going racing that GM hadn't ever been involved with before. Like customer racing is a new thing where we're like, wow, we're putting race cars out there in the wild that are completely out of our control. So it's been interesting navigating that, and we work closely with Pratt Miller. They're our constructor, our customer service provider, and our professional race team in IMSA. So work really closely with them, and an awesome team. The way that they operate is very similar to 888, like very process driven.
Yep.
Everything is, it's very typical of like sitting down in a boardroom to have a debrief and leaving your emotions at the door. Like no room for that. You are there to critically analyze every single aspect of your performance, and you come out with a to-do list, you come out with an action list, and everything is ticked off and improved within the set time frame. So really fun working with those guys.
And you had experience with, because you're now essentially running the whole global customer racing program for GM or Corvette, but you had experience back in Australia with 888 doing that in GT racing?
Yeah, I had a little bit of experience in GT racing through 888 as the customer racing agent for AMG for the Australia and New Zealand region. So bit of experience through that, and with 888 running the AMGs for Johor. So that JMR, which is now actually a Corvette customer, which is handy. So convinced them to buy some Corvettes, and now I get to run the
JMR
program.
has switched over to Corvette.
Yes, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Well,
so I've
they're
been running
familiar faces that make it easy to communicate with, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like there's a lot of people at JMR who are ex-888 people. So it's really nice, like I went over to Sepang for their first race, which was cool because they got a win. Went over to Spa. I'm going over to Suzuka in a couple of weeks. And yeah, it's nice seeing some familiar faces and going racing with all those guys.
What's it like? Because that was probably obviously a lot smaller when you're running the GT stuff in Australia. Now you're doing the global side. I guess what are some of the challenges that you face now that you're covering the whole world versus just Asia Pac?
It's actually been fascinating coming to this side of it, and especially it's a combination of like the US, GM, and just how much bigger stuff is outside of Australia. And don't get me wrong, I think we do an incredible job over in Australia, but we're sometimes in a bit of a bubble and aren't aware of what's out there.
Yeah.
And you don't know unless you've gone out there and seen it.
Now. After being here a week, I 100% see what you mean.
Yeah, it's massively eye-opening. And so I'm sitting there in a meeting hearing about, okay, what is our plan for tire modeling for the Corvette sim, and Goodyear want to test with us at Portimao to create a new model for this kind of simulator as opposed to that kind of simulator. I'm like,
this is an option.
Yeah, I'm totally across all of this. I really know what this means, and I'm not Googling what a tire model is.
Yeah.
But it's just like that level of how much can be done,
What's possible.
and what the manufacturers and the teams are actually doing to set themselves apart and set a new benchmark and things. You know, like over in Australia, we have the Bathurst 12-hour once a year, and we get the teams like Group M coming over, who are one of the benchmark teams, Craft Bamboo, you know, some of the biggest teams in GT racing, WRT, Manthey, and we get an insight into what they're doing, but it's not until you start peeling back the curtain and actually seeing what these manufacturers and teams are doing to find that extra couple of percent to have the edge, that then you're like, okay, wow, there's an awful lot that goes into this. So it's been really cool getting to see that side of it, be involved in it, and help all of our teams find those extra layers to find that performance.
And how do you, now that you work for a manufacturer, BOP, which is balanced performance, is huge.
Everyone's favourite topic.
Yeah, in GT racing. So I raced GT ages ago, and I used to hate BOP because you turn up one week you're great, one week you're not.
Maybe just a quick explain. We've done it before in the pod, but just if someone's listening and they're not quite sure what the BOP, which balance of performance, how is that? How does
that affect you guys as a manufacturer?
And how do they implement it?
So BOP is a convergence tool, essentially. It's a parity tool. Because when you've got so many different manufacturers running on different platforms and using different tools, you need a way to ensure as close a competition as possible. And BOP is different. It's a little bit different in each series, but it's a way of trying to get as close a racing as possible by controlling things like wing angle, restrictors, power, weight. And it's, when I say each series is a little bit different, the main ones that we deal with on Corvette, and I should set the scene a bit of Corvette. So this year we've got 17 cars racing in, I think it will be, by the end of the year, we will have raced in 10 different series around the world, which next to the AMGs of the world, the Ferraris of the world, like Porsche, like we are tiny, but for what we are and the resources that we have, like we're doing an awful lot and doing fairly well with it as well. We've had 11 wins so far this year across our whole customer base, and every single one of our customers has also had a podium. So most of them have had a win, so it's really good. Don't want to like blow my own horn because it's very much a team effort, and the people who I work with are awesome. Like the GM people on the powertrain side are fantastic, so hardworking. The Pratt Miller guys, just talked about how much I enjoy working with them. But within all those different series, really the biggest BOP players that we have are IMSA World Endurance Championship, which is done by the ACO, and SRO, which controls GT World Challenge. For us, we have cars in GT World Challenge America, GT America, which is, they are two different things, but run under the same, both run by SRO, GT World Challenge Europe, GT World Challenge Asia, and Intercontinental. So, and each one of those has a slightly different way of doing their BOP.
That's a fun political battle. All those different ways of doing it. Everyone would have a different take on it.
It's interesting. So this year, for the first time, IMSA is using torque axles, which were introduced in the World Endurance Championship a couple of years ago, a couple of years ago now. And IMSA has adopted them for this year. So where previously manufacturers had a bit of control over like how much power was going to the car and stuff like that, now with the torque axles, they can see how much power is being delivered to each corner of the car at any moment on track. And it's kind of like, I'll do a terrible job of describing this, but it kind of like, it builds up during a lap, and then it has a decay rate of the rate at which it comes down. We call it the PPU. No one really knows what PPU stands for. If someone does, then please let me know.
But everyone who,
let us know.
Might know.
Everyone who I've asked is like, no, we don't actually know what PPU stands for. Yeah, just roll with something like that. It's a mystery. I'm sure it has an answer, but nobody's been able to tell me so far, weirdly. But yeah, it's so the PPU control is a massive part of like the power being delivered to each corner of the car at any given moment on track, and the manufacturers, it's a bit of a battle between the manufacturers as who's going to get on top of this quickly. And our group at General Motors, the powertrain group, has done a fantastic job. We are consistently best in class because they released IMSA and WEC released the kind of the graphs of showing this was everybody's, without putting labels on it, this was everybody's PPU control over the last event. And our graphs consistently match the best ones.
Right.
So you usually get like a best in class or a worst in and a worst in class rather than each individual line for each individual manufacturer. And yeah, we're consistently best in class. So big shout out to that team for managing that really, really well. But then the manufacturers that aren't so great, then it becomes a political battle of then they're kind of knocking on the door of like IMSA and WEC and saying, well, how about we tweak the rules in this way? And that's happened this year of like they've made rule changes based on a manufacturer not being as good as the other manufacturers at this area of performance.
That's frustrating. Are some teams or manufacturers, do you think, doing that on purpose, like the sandbagging and then choosing events they want to succeed at? And
I think it happens to a degree, less so now in IMSA and WEC because of they have done a really good job. Both IMSA and WEC have done a good job of improving BOP processes and things. So yeah, that's credit to them for bringing in new tools and using them. But yeah, there's for sure manufacturers we spend a lot of time thinking about, okay, how do we control our performance at this race in order to, how does it have a flow-on effect on the next race? You know, if the organizer uses a 3-race rolling average, for instance, okay, once we get to the next race and that race is cut off and this race is added in, how does that affect our BOP for this race? And probably over the years, you've seen manufacturers and teams go, okay, well, we'll sacrifice these races in order to go well at that race, but that's just all part of the game of sports car racing. It's unfortunate sometimes. You're like, I just want to go racing, and that be about performance. That's where Supercars is great, because it is just, as much as everyone and so many people in Supercars bitch and moan about parity, it's the best touring car series in the world. So yeah, I'd love GT racing to be like that, but also it's part of the game. You know, every round that the category releases the BOP, you know, we have a little debrief afterwards and discuss what it means and how we'll kind of communicate that to the teams and how we can best help the teams compete within the parameters of that BOP and how it might affect the rest of their season. And just try to get good results no matter what how
involved are you with those conversations directly with the teams in your role?
Like I speak to our teams every day. We don't have many, like we have 7 teams, but I speak to our teams like maybe not every day, but at least every week on various things. Not on the technical side, it's not so much up to me. We have a technical director for the program who will he will be the one giving that advice. But then I'm talking to the teams more about like, what does our support look like for them? Like TF is our team in the UK that competes in the World Endurance Championship, but also European Le Mans Series. And for example, the conversations I've been having with them this week are about, okay, so we've got 2 rounds left of European Le Mans. You are in the championship hunt at the moment. If we get out the other side of Silverstone, which is the penultimate round, we get to Portimao. How can we best help you for Portimao? I can send you a powertrain engineer. We can also, what do you need in terms of if we send you a Pratt Miller engineer? Do you want a race or strategy person, or do you want a data and systems person? Like working out with them how we can help them get the best result. We're not there to run the team for them or anything like that, but we have people and we have tools to help our teams get the best results.
I hope you're enjoying this episode, but I do have to interrupt just quickly to thank our fantastic supporters that allow us to create the content for you. East Coast Car Rentals. If you're in the market for a rental car, think of those guys. And if you'd like a cheeky 15% discount, AHU15 is the discount code there for 15% off. If you're in the market to buy a car, not rent one, Lancaster Motor Group, we've got you covered for new or used cars. So think Lancaster Motor Group. Quadlock, fantastic supporter of our podcast as well. We use their products every single day on the pod using their desk mounts here. Also, we've used them to create the additional content like we did the Adelaide Motorsport Festival using their action camera mounts. So whether it's mounts, phone cases, they've got you covered. Quadlockcase.net. Now, the website for all of these brands that support us will be in the description of this podcast. Back to the show.
Do you get down in the weeds when it comes to driver selection or things like that? Like, have you got a junior driver program? Are you over that as well?
You're not about to ask me for a driver.
We've got a really good silver standing behind the bar. I'm a gold looking for reclassification.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask you for a driver. But do you get down into? I mean, I'll take one if you got one. Hey,
I'm not going to ask you, but
hey, look, I might need a silver next year. It's actually a possibility.
Well, here I am.
I know a good one.
Yeah, no, driver selection is a big part of my job. Driver selection, driver contracting. we have 6 factory drivers, across 4 in IMSA, 2 in WEC, and then the WEC drivers cross over into IMSA as well for the endurance races. But yeah, that's a big part of it. It's a big part specifically at the moment. Like, a lot of my week this week has gone into writing contracts and negotiating with drivers and things.
You might be asking the same question.
Yeah,
I was going to go,
like
where do you go to find these drivers?
Yeah.
Like, what's on your radar?
Pratt Miller has been really good at compiling data and knowing, like, after Daytona, we dissected the data of the past three previous years of IMSA, of just looking at driver, and that was in February. So Pratt is very data driven. But as you guys know, data is only one part of it. The girl, whoever, the driver has to not be an asshole. That's a big part of it. They have to blend well with the team. They have to, it's not just going racing. Yeah, massively in endurance racing. Le Mans, like, for instance, is 2 intense weeks. If you've got somebody in your car who you don't like, then, you know, it's a long 2 weeks.
Drivers think he's a pain in the ass. That makes it hard, even on track. Yeah.
And a few pricks floating around. No, I'm joking. I
just look straight at me. I don't know why.
We know enough drivers to know that there's a few pricks floating around.
No, we have a really good lineup and of our factory drivers. And what I would love to do at some point is, like, add another layer to our Stephen Golling.
The Mooresville farm is going off. We've now got Steve the dog in the background with a squeaky toy.
It's like Step Brothers. Him and Ronald have gone, we're here to fuck shit up tonight.
Tonight it's like...
Ronald is just like...
He's looking at me. He's being a good little boy.
It is because I'll give you some credit here, Jess. The last few nights we've been doing pods in here, you have taken the dogs and distracted them.
Respect.
Where is Shane right now? He'd be on the sim going, I don't want dogs around me. They can be outside with the...
Probably on the flight sim, is he? I can't see him.
He's actually prepping for Darlington right now, if anyone's listening. But you are much better at controlling these dogs during our podcast.
Oh, why, thank you. Shane has not done anything with the animals all week. I have fed them every night. I put them all to bed every night. But, you know, that's okay. The animals are my happy place. So I'll let him off that one. Steve!
What's more... not challenging, but what's more exciting when you were team owner, or now what you're doing purely on the performance and not having to worry about the whole business as a whole? What did you find more exciting or challenging, I guess?
Yeah, great question, because being a team owner, you have the ability to, and also in a team in general, like, you have the ability to say, this is the best thing for our team. If we need to discuss it, we have a board to discuss that with. It takes 5 minutes to get a green light. And if that's the right thing to do, then you hit go straight away. If it's the wrong thing to do, you park it. But for me personally, like, my personal ability to do stuff at Triple Eight was somewhat was limited, because at the end of the day, Jamie was the managing director and I was not, and that therefore by definition, the decisions like that, the day-to-day, like, getting shit done, like that came to Jamie. I enjoyed finding the areas that we could do better as a business. In particular, once I got, when I was doing my law degree, once I got my law degree, of finding, okay, we are massively non-compliant in that area, so we need to improve this, or processes and procedures and systems and stuff and tools to improve us. And so, yeah, it was enjoyable finding those little bits and pieces, but was I fully satisfied in that role? No. Over here, I really enjoy that I get to have basically purview over a massive, a global racing program, essentially. And the decisions that I make impact a lot of people, and that pressure is fun, and that's a fun challenge. What is different between a team and working for GM, which is obviously a mega corporation, 165,000 employees.
Wow.
There are so many layers that you have to go through. You can't just make a decision in silo. You have to run it by so many people, and you have to get so many people sign off, and you can't just, the process of decision to action to the finish line are so much more spread out in, just by virtue of working in a massive company, and that I get it, that's the way it has to be, because there's so many more layers of, like, liability and just accountability. And so many more people who want to have a say in it. You know, when you're sitting around a board table, it's literally the people in the room who have to have a say. Whereas at GM, you have this idea and then you have to run it by that group, and then they have to escalate it to that group, and you can't talk to that person yourself. You have to get that person to talk to that person, who then presents to that person, and then that has to go through a whole other chain. It's just how it is. Like, it's
must be frustrating to have all the tools in the world, and then like if you think back to Teamland, you have all these tools, you could do magical things. Whereas right now you're like, it was like when we were talking to James Small about the control of NASCAR. Now he's like, you actually can't use 80% of your brain because there's things you just can't achieve. Like, you can't go out and redesign parts anymore and do these things. But it's crazy. You must have so much that you could do, but it gets delayed or it takes on. It must have been a big shift to come from Teamland to then have to start to accept this. The frustration, I imagine, is up there.
Yeah, it can be frustrating. You know, I'm not constantly frustrated because sometimes, like, when you do get stuff done, it feels really rewarding. You know, the feeling of having started work on a contract back in January and then finally getting it signed, sealed, and delivered in July. Like, that was a really long stretch of working on a contract. But that feeling when it gets done, you're like, woohoo, high five myself and have an Aperol spritz. Which is exactly what I did because I was on holiday when the final signatures came through.
Fantastic.
Sitting next to a pool in Sicily, and I was like, oh, look, let's come sign through. I might order another bottle of Prosecco. Thank you very much.
Celebrate that. Did you ever,
no mind.
in Supercars, do you wish you had a similar role to what you have right now in Triple Eight when you were, because I mean, this is the crazy thing. I feel like there's been very few female team owners around the world, and you are probably one of the most successful in any form of motorsport with winning
a few championships.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. So as a team,
few hundred races, won.
As a team owner, how many was it? 5 championships, drivers, 6 teams that you're a part of.
So 6 or 7, yeah.
How many races?
Did I get it wrong? No, don't. It's okay.
No,
was it 7?
I can't remember. I think it was 6 or 7.
Yeah. So there's an indication of your success. I can't remember. Was it 7?
When you start forgetting how many championships you won, you're doing all right.
As in only in the period that I was a team owner. Like I became a team owner in 2015, and then from 2015 through to July 24.
And already tonight, people will be able to hear the knowledge and the passion and the competitiveness. So those championships, you weren't just a witness to, like, you genuinely participated in those, and that's why I asked, did you want to be more part of the performance, like the Jamie role? Was that could there have ever been an opportunity to be co with him, or was that a role that you would have liked to have had that just didn't come to fruition?
I was okay with how it was set out. I think I don't think that I would have had the confidence in myself to ever do that solo. Like, now I am where I am, and looking back, like, I could have done it because the budget that I manage for Corvette racing is like bigger than Triple Eight's entire turnover. Like, and I don't say that like arrogantly, but it's
you've got the ability.
I am essentially running. The way I describe it is like I am running a small business within a business.
Yeah.
And now that I am where I am with Corvette, I now know that like. Now I know that I could do it if I had been put in the position where I needed to do it. And it was ironic, like over the couple of years that, were you supposed to say something then?
Sound check. I don't want to interrupt. Hey, I'm a pro.
Totally
this is
fine.
professional. I don't do it. Yeah. It's the dogs that interrupt tonight, not me. Sound check.
Yeah, Stephen. I was lying.
I think they finally wore themselves out.
Yeah, over the couple of years when Jamie had taken over from RD and stuff, there were a few people who said to me, and not insignificant people either, they were like, oh, how come you didn't get a shot at that? Like, it would have been really good to see you in that role. And I always just was kind of like, no, like, Jamie's the right person for it. He's run businesses, he's got the acumen, he knows how to make a car go fast and all that. Like, it was never a question to me that it should have been mine, like, never. Okay. But now I am where I am and can look back, I'm like, actually, it would have been interesting. Like, had I been given the opportunity to do more, I think I could have done a better job than I gave myself credit for being able to do at the time.
Is team ownership on the cards in the future? Like, would you ever consider potentially going back down that path in any category?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's interesting.
Maybe. It's not something that I've really put any thought into. I don't really see myself as an entrepreneur. I don't think I think big picture enough. And maybe this is like one of the reasons why I don't think I'd have been very good in the managing director role at Triple Eight, because I'm not a big picture thinker. I'm not necessarily a creative thinker in that way. I am a drill down into the details and get shit done kind of
roll up
person.
your sleeves,
you need something done, like here is a to-do list, I will get it all done. So yeah, I'm not entrepreneurial, so I don't know if I'm the right person to be a team owner, but equally, like, I think I could.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
I could if I
sounded
wanted
like,
to.
yeah, and I could be wrong, just sound like, yeah, you're now saying that maybe if you'd thrown yourself in the deep end, that you've got no doubt you would have been successful in that role. And
if it's a sink or swim situation, more often than not, you swim rather than sink. And like, very, very different situation to managing a multi-million-dollar business. But like, when I started doing the Australian Rally Championship and hosting the broadcast for that, man, that was the deep end.
Yeah,
when I got that call and was like, hey, do you want to host? We've got it's 2020. Presenter Dean Herridge is locked in WA. We need a host for the only round of the ARC this year. Do you want to do it? And I was like, I know nothing about rally. Like, I'm flattered that you thought of me, but I'm the wrong person. I know nothing about rally. So I went into this completely solo, had to do I think it was a 28-minute live stream of cars finishing and we had no B-roll, we had nothing because we couldn't fly the drone. So it was literally just me standing on the finish line of the power stage in Canberra, bullshitting my way through for 28 minutes. And I remember doing my intro, I read off my intro, and I had this little voice in my head that goes, I just want to stop talking. And I was like, you can't stop talking. You've got 27 minutes left.
Keep it rolling.
just pad. You got a pad. We got it all this time.
I finished that, and I was like, when I first started doing rally, I was mentally exhausted. Like, every weekend I was like, I am just knackered. And then the more you do it, the more you get used to it. And then everybody you become friends with everyone. You can have casual conversations with people. You get all of this stuff that you learn about the sport becomes second nature. But I think of all the things in Australia, I reckon, of like coming from everything that I was doing in Australia, I think rally is the thing I miss the most.
Really? Of all things?
I loved it. We had an awesome crew. Like, the team that we had, we achieved so much with so little. Like, we had no budget.
Yep.
We did a live stream on Channel 7 every week. It was, every rally.
Yep.
What we did with such small resources and such a small budget, with just people who are so passionate about the sport and really hardworking, like
Geordie Deckett
really
shot for that, I believe. He's done some stuff with me, filming for me with One Night Media, and he's an amazing lad.
Yeah, love Geordie.
Loves motorsport. I raced his brother when we were kids, but he's someone loves the sport and would. And I think he filmed a lot of that, didn't he? He was one of the live camera operators there. We
had the Panda bus, so it was. Panda, Paul Reardon, who's now at DJR, I think. He was the PR manager at Motorsport Australia. Dean Herridge, who was my former rally driver, my co-host, and Geordie in a bus. We called it the Panda bus because it was always the four of us every rally. And honestly, we had some of the... I used to cry laughing every single weekend. I used to look forward to going to every rally. I used to get post-rally blues. It was like, normal life sucks. I love running through fields watching cars go sideways. Which, it was just, it's cool. I always say that rally is like the best, worst spectator sport. It is the best in terms of like, no matter how much you don't care about cars or have no interest in cars or racing or anything, like you watch Formula One and think it's boring. You can watch a rally car going sideways on the edge of a cliff, and you can't deny that that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
It just, the sound, the smell, shit flying at you while you're standing on the side of a stage, like that's addictive. But it is the hardest sport to broadcast because
it's pretty much
the most you'll do a
footage.
stage is twice. And sometimes the stages are like 30 kilometers long. How do you get cameras out there and cover all of it? You can't, unless you're the WRC and you have a helicopter.
The Panda bus.
The Panda bus. We were there at the end of every stage to bring you the breaking stories.
There we go. How does that come about? I mean, was it? They must have seen that interview you did with me in 2010. Is that how you got the job opportunity?
That is absolutely how. They went back and they searched Jessica Dane, embarrassing
Greatest interview of all time.
Yes, something like that. Jessica Dane, Scott Pye, best interview of all time.
You've got quite the diverse profile then.
your
I mean,
CV is huge.
you've gone from, so I mean, journalism, which you did that for quite a long time. I mean, part-time mechanic in at T8 as well as you did my contract at Triple Eight just before you left. Do you remember? I had to speak to you about the
your co-drive contract. Yeah.
So you've done you're doing all the legal at the end of the day there.
Would have screwed you down big time, I reckon.
You're 5-time supercar champion as well as team owner is
crammed a bit in. What was I doing?
It's wild.
And you did your law degree too.
And I did the law degree in the middle.
Studying,
6 constructors, I believe, 5 drivers as owner for both of those. Law degree, journalism degree, a
few different roles.
And
you still doubted yourself to run a race team in Australia. Wow.
What would you say to someone young gets into motorsport, as in not a driver, but someone that's interested in the sport? Because I think that's what's impressive. A lot of people think driver or mechanic or race engineer, but there's so many different roles.
Yeah.
What would be some advice you'd give to someone, male or female, coming through that just says, I want to work in the sport?
Yeah.
What's recommendations? What's a role you think you've loved? Because you've pretty much done them all. What would you say to a young Jess if you had the opportunity maybe to give a speech at your university when you're studying?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't necessarily say this to myself because I was fortunate enough to grow up at racetracks. I had that exposure. And I always think one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about sharing this sport through the various programs that I've done over the years and been involved with, whether it's Girls on Track or the scholarship that I ran with St. Hilda's Foundation or anything like that. It's, to me, I feel very fortunate to have grown up in motorsport. I want to be able to share that passion with someone who might not ever get that exposure. And if it sparks a fire within them, then job done, tick a box. Even if it's only to become a fan, if they discover something that they can find a community in and tune into every Sunday and what have you, then that's awesome. We've got another fan in the sport. So I wouldn't necessarily give this advice to myself, but I always say to young people who I talk to who want to get into the sport, get yourself to racetracks and understand the various layers to motorsport, because so many people, you meet so many kids who are like, I see Formula One or I see Supercars or I see NASCAR, and that's it because that's all they see. In Australia, motorsport is a $9 billion industry. So sport as a whole, and these numbers come from 2022, I want to say, or 23. So not completely up to date, but sport in Australia is a $50 billion industry, of which motorsport makes up $9 billion. So it's decent. That shows you how massive that pyramid is. And if all you see is supercars and that's all you have on your radar of that's where I need to get to, you are neglecting the whole rest of the base of that pyramid. So you need to get to the tracks like Queensland Raceway, like Winton, any track that is your regional, your local
grassroots
one that is holding all those grassroots events. Understand what goes into the sport, how many layers there are, and talk to people. That's how you make contacts. That's how you understand what goes into the sport. That's how you start building up your CV in whatever area, whether it's sweeping the floors or helping to make lunches or something. You're getting into it, you're getting involved, and you are opening doors for yourself, because people always want to help so much more than you think that they do.
Yeah, I think our sport's good for that as well. And one thing is, everyone I speak to that's young coming up, it's you always want, and Instagram, social media is terrible for it. You want to be somewhere you're not yet. You're always trying to get there fast.
Get rich quick.
Yeah.
You just got to be patient. And it is one of those sports that does reward hard work and patience, I think. It doesn't matter if you speak to Andrew Edwards and James Small, any of those guys that have been in the sport for a long time as well. Even he said, just get to the track, and meet people and be patient. You're never going to start as a crew chief or head of marketing. You're going to start at the bottom and work your way through the sport. But it is a sport, I think, where we love it, and there's never enough people interested in coming in. I remember growing up in karting, and everyone thought it's always just going to be a hobby. What do you do? And even guidance counselors, they're like, you can't work in motorsport. What jobs are there for you? Engineers have the same problem. They're like, I want to be a mechanical engineer, work in the sport. And they're like, is it a real job? Don't you have to go work in aerospace engineering or something different? Motorsports. Yeah, so it is important for us to almost advocate for our own sport, I think, isn't it?
I always remember Dutto saying to me, he's like, my parents still ask me when I'm going to get a real job. It's Dutto, who's he's the most successful race engineer in the whole of Supercars, and the most successful team manager now probably as well. It's and his parents when are you going to get a real job?
Where do you put Triple A? You've made me think then with Dutto, because he's one of it's one of my favourite, people I've worked with and the most impressive, I think, amongst a few others, which all seem to come out of the T8 pathway probably. And I think a lot of that is obviously the credit to your dad. But where would you put Triple Eight now you're working with different teams, global teams? Because I do want people to appreciate back home just the quality of our sport. Where would you put T8 in terms of processes and everything, comparing now to what you've seen globally?
At the top. Like not the top, but like it's in that top.
Yeah.
That top bar of the chart, because I touched upon it earlier with reference to Pratt Miller, like the process and procedure driven engineering and approach in general, and the ethos of leave your emotions at the door, we're here to win races. Like you cannot let emotions get in the way. Never, don't take it personally. Like we're here to win races. That is, and something that I have noticed that I never realized was normal, because I have always grown up with RD being like, if you don't get an A, then you are shit, and I'm not going to talk. Like I remember calling him with in the UK, you have exams called your AS levels, which what you kind of do when you're like 16, 17. I remember calling him with my results, and I got like 2 Bs and a C or something like that. He didn't talk to me for 2 weeks.
He is so ruthless, isn't he?
Yeah.
He told me
he was so angry with me. Oh no, I didn't even call. No, I texted him my results, and he didn't. He just point blank wouldn't talk to me for like 2 weeks.
I totally get that. He told me once when I came second at the podium, why are you smiling so much? If you're going to smile like that, don't come tomorrow.
That's exactly the mentality of like the lack of the fact that Triple Eight has this mentality of we will not be happy with anything other than the best. And sometimes the best is not necessarily winning. Like you can have I remember doing the Bathurst 12-hour 2019, and bearing in mind it wasn't our usual series, we were competing against some of the biggest GT teams in the world, and we were so damn happy with coming fourth in that race because we ran that race perfectly. Yep. There were things outside of our control that meant that we didn't win the race, but we were all so proud of ourselves for coming fourth, which is not something that you hear coming out of Triple Eight in terms of Supercars, because Supercars is like you're the best or you're shit.
Yeah.
But I think that's an example of when you can set your expectations differently, because it always comes back to your own performance. Equally, you can clean sweep a weekend, but it could have been a shit weekend. You just did a less bad job than everyone else.
Yep.
And that mentality of never settling for anything other than the best or being content with mediocrity is something that I have found is not common. I thought that was just normal in race teams, but it's not. No. And that's been an adjustment. And it's not even only race teams. It goes for it goes for business as well. Like being happy with like how you ran that meeting or something, like that went well no it didn't, we could have done better, so let's analyze it, let's pull it apart and do better next time.
Do you struggle with that ever with customer racing when you're dealing with some teams that maybe aren't, especially when you're scaling, like you said at the moment, to get more cars out there? Is that difficult to, you never lower the expectations, but you kind of open the window of what's okay at the moment, or is it difficult?
I can separate myself from our customer teams. Like, yes, if we've put in if we have GM have done everything, and on the program side done everything we can within our power to help that team do the best results,
that's your performance.
Then that's the performance that we control. I'm okay with not being able to control the things we can't control.
Right.
And of course, I'm like, well, I probably would have done things differently. I wouldn't have made that strategy call, stuff like that. But I can separate myself from that and say, the stuff that we control, we did really well.
Yeah.
With that in mind, what is the pinnacle for you, or the point where you'll go, well, what's one race you desperately want to tick off your list, but what point do you get to where you go, yep, that's job well done, with that mindset that you've grown up with? What's the top for you where you can sit back and go, yep, that's as good as I could have done. That is, I've nailed my career in motorsport.
Answer your second question first.
Yep.
I don't think there is ever that point. Like, I think like truly hungry and ambitious people will never be okay with that. One of the reasons that I, throughout my life, have struggled with the idea of setting goals is because you achieve it and then what?
Yeah.
Like, what's the next thing you'll change? And that can get addictive. Like, you see people like, I'm going to run a marathon, and then on the other side of it have like a massive dip and depressed and stuff like that. Not like, I can't relate to that ambition. I'm never going to run a marathon. Can't even run a kilometer right now with my bung knee. But yeah, like for me, goal setting has never been something that I've been able to relate to. And then to go back to your first question, Bathurst 12 hour.
Really?
Really?
Over
That's
Le Mans,
quality.
over Le Mans or anything?
That's awesome.
Obviously, I want to win Le Mans, but like,
You'll win them all, but
want to win them all.
Bathurst is up there. That
But
ranks
Bathurst
globally
12,
for you.
man, I need to, yeah, that's, I've said to everyone, I'm like, I will sacrifice my entire international support budget to go and win that race and then get sacked afterwards.
Yeah. That's cool.
No, yeah, Bathurst 12 hour. And I don't think what I've loved about the 12 hour over the years of going there is that, of course, like us as Australians and New Zealanders appreciate Bathurst for the 1000, and we know what an incredible place it is and how much it means in our culture. But then when it comes to the 12 hour and you're walking up and down pit lane and hearing a melting pot of different languages, different engine sounds.
And it's double the distance. It's 12 hours versus 6.
Yep. You get a sense of how much this track is revered around the world. And that to me is really special of like, holy shit, this isn't just a big thing for us. Like this track is like up there in the pinnacle of motorsport around the world, and conquering it in that global stage. I'm like, yeah, bring it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's so true, actually, because
We're very lucky.
We've been lucky enough to do the 12 hour. I've done it a few times.
Oh, we won it.
You've done
Class
it once.
E, but
I've won it twice,
Isn't that
mate.
invitational or there's only one car?
No, well, actually, we
back
won-
then there was.
You know what's
yeah.
crazy? We actually won Class B too in a Class E car.
Oh,
Well, we've won potty outright.
We won B, C,
yeah.
D, and E. We finished sixth outright. We did. It was before it was really that
what were
competitive.
you driving?
We were in a Holden Astro.
Yeah.
No.
Dead set. And it's actually, doesn't it sound
We got
crazy?
6 outright
Please, can
with
you
50.
find footage of this
Oh,
and
yeah,
insert
it's
it in the
good.
pod?
We'll be able to.
There's a photo of us on the podium. We like it's 2012, so we look like babies.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. But I've done it. So yeah.
So if you need tips on how to succeed in the 12 hour, we can give you all of them. As long as you're in a Holden Astra that does like 210 on the back
Yeah.
straight.
I know who to call.
It is true though, because I've done it in outright cars as well with Audi and stuff, and then all their factory guys came over and just chatting to them, and these are guys that are DTM race winners,
Yeah.
and they're like, this joint's crazy. You know, the first laps they do, they're like, holy shit, and they're racing
Yeah.
Nürburgring everywhere. So it is true. All the Euro factory guys come over and just it blows their mind.
And our factory guys say to us, they're like, if you're gonna, or say to me, like if you're gonna run a car at Bathurst, can you sign me up for it? And I'm like, I have a list of like of at least 6 drivers right now, and I can only put 3 in the car.
You can run 2
So I'll
cars.
let you fight for it. Who's gonna bribe me? You know, what are you all gonna give me?
What do you see right now as some challenges within the sport you're working in, and then what would you, now knowing what you know, take back to Supercars to help improve the product that we have back home?
Challenges within GT3 specifically, or
Well, you could do the world of motorsport. You can do GT3. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
interesting because you're so experienced now.
Yeah.
It's just interesting, I think, for the fans to hear what
Yeah.
you would do with your experience and what you think of the sport in general.
I think this is a continuous reoccurring problem, but cost control is a massive one, and every few years there is a rejig in the rules to try to keep costs under control. We saw it with, as I mentioned earlier, the move from GTE and GTLM to a single GT3 rule book and apply that across the board. But it's the amount that we're all spending, and particularly in the World Endurance Championship, like the GT3 category in the World Endurance Championship is now structured that you have to have a platinum or gold, a silver, and a bronze. And we now have, the idea is that the bronze and or the silver are bringing the money, and it's partly customer funded because it's GT3 racing. It is not supposed to be a professional category. One, the fact that a world championship, like an FIA world championship, a bronze can win it. It's really cool for the bronzes, but is that like really like world championship spec? It's debatable.
Yeah.
But 2, when you've got such a massive spread of budgets and what manufacturers, and I'm speaking only from the manufacturer perspective here, right? such a broad spread of the money that's going into it, it's really hard to compete on a completely even playing field from that perspective. You have some manufacturers who aren't putting any money into WEC at all, like, well, one specifically, and then the budgets kind of creep up from there. And then at the other end of the field, you have 2 WEC cars that are completely fully funded by their manufacturer. Right. And that's like, how do you find a happy medium in that? And how is that going to be sustainable for the category? Sports car racing is in a real sweet spot at the moment with so many manufacturers in GT3 racing, but also on the LMH, LMDH platform. And we've only got more coming in. So we've got Genesis, Ford and McLaren are all introducing LMH or LMDH cars. So Hypercar and GTP across WEC and IMSA are only going to like keep getting more popular. But then what does that mean for the grid numbers for GT? The grids are only so big. When these manufacturers are coming in, where do the GT cars go? Who do you cut? How do you decide who loses that spot? Do we go down to 1 car per manufacturer? Like, that's not sustainable either, because then you've got a field of like 9 cars. There's a few different bits and pieces, but essentially I think it all comes down to cost control. And I feel like sports car racing is in a bubble at the moment that's continually expanding, and at some point it's going to pop. And of course, like we've seen that over the years, the bubbles in every sphere and subsphere expand and contract. But I think when this one pops, it's going to be severe. You
see it in Australia at the moment. So GT3 in 2016 to 2018, sort of the era I was doing, was really big. Lots of manufacturer support, sending pros over, sort of 5-6 pro cars, 25 on the grid. You've now got like 12 on the grid in GT3, but GT4 is pumping because it's just dropped down to that next cash flow level that is more sustainable for because I said Pro-Am racing, generally you've got a wealthy businessman or businesswoman that owns a car, runs a car, and they get a pro to drive with them. So we're seeing that a lot in Australia, that GT3's really dropped off. GT4 is in a real sweet spot at the moment. But even that is still starting to, as it gets popular, the costs then go up, doesn't it? So, let's just say it was 30 grand around, it's now going to be 50 grand around next year. And then it won't be long before it's 60 or 70, then it's going to have the same problems.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
How many events are you travelling to this year? What's your calendar look like? Keeping in mind Shane's doing like 38 as well, so the two of you must be like...
We're housemates.
This place,
we're housemates. We're not...
Whoever your house sitter is must be very busy.
Yes, thanks. Shout out to Zoe and Gus who house it for us. But Gus also works on the IMSA program, so he's travelling to half the events I am.
Gus took us through the Penske Porsches.
He did,
the other day. It was really great.
Right. He did say that. So how many is it? It must be a lot you're doing this year.
I haven't actually counted up, but I think by the end of the year it's going to be something like 25.
Far out.
I think because Shane does 36, but his are only Friday to Sunday maximum. Sometimes it's just Friday, Saturday. Like sometimes it's just Saturday, Sunday. But mine are like Le Mans is 2 weeks, Spa is a week, Qatar for the WEC opener is 2 weeks because it's the prologue and then the event. And I've done crazy stuff, like I went to Sepang for 2 days.
Yeah.
I flew from here to Malaysia for 2 days. But I just want, like, it's important for me to get to a race of each of our customers and try to see what it's like in each series that we're racing in. Unfortunately, like I'm not going to get to a European Le Mans series this year because most of those races have clashed with something else, and it hasn't worked out. But certainly it is important from like meeting people, and we've touched upon the politics in sports car racing. Like it is important just to be there. And I always used to get so frustrated with like the people. It's like, why are you here? What are you doing? And sometimes I feel like that. I'm like, why am I here? And I always say that like my role on race weekends is not to be there to make things go right. It's to be there if stuff goes wrong.
Okay.
And like Rolex 24 earlier this year, it was about 1:30 in the morning and I was sitting at my desk and I was like, I could just like go for a little nap in the motorhome roundabout now. And I was like, but I better not. And then about 10 minutes later, one of our cars set on fire. So
you're out there with a fire extinguisher.
That was me, yeah, straight
everything.
on the track. No, but like in that instance, I had to be out there because obviously massive fire. There was media milling around. I'm there to control the messaging that goes out to media. I'm there to liaise with the team. I'm there to understand, okay, what are we doing with this car? Like, I'm not part of diagnosing, I don't know a fucking
Your damage control
oil
though
line from breaking
from all
whatever.
those ways. Yeah.
Yeah, but and then working out by the time that hour with the team post fire had finished, we'd worked out a plan to get the car back to Pratt Miller, strip down, diagnose. If they needed another car before this date, then we could give them this car, and like putting all of that plan and that logistics together. So yeah, not there if stuff to make stuff go right. I'm there if stuff goes tits up.
Yeah, right. Before we wrap this up, it's been unreal, but I do want to ask the tough questions. How shit scared was Shane when he had to tell RD that you two were dating officially?
Before that, how did you even get together?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to get. I'm trying to soften the blow.
Nah, straight in. How did it happen? I don't know. I want to know.
And this is Shane as well going. Ask her. Put the hard questions.
No,
on her.
he
So go on.
didn't. He didn't say
Go
that,
on.
did he?
Go on. We're
Did he?
curious.
Oh no.
We want to know.
I can feel myself going red.
You are going red.
Tell us all of it.
No.
Actually, yeah, no, not all of it.
Not all of it.
I
Leave
just
some to
really
yourself,
want
but-
to. I know how scary RD is too. That I want to hear that, and then
Oh.
how did you guys actually start dating?
So RD, we went to Monaco in 2022, and then I went to England, and Shane was doing Le Mans, and I had already planned. Like I was in England for my best friend's wedding where I was a bridesmaid, and it was 2 days before Le Mans race weekend. So I was like,
Love was in the air.
love is never in the air
Not-
around me.
Not at this point. Elliot's
Well, you're at a wedding.
Elliot's a
Anyway.
sweetheart. He goes straight to the carry on.
But I'm not a loving person.
Copy.
Can't you tell? So I was going to Le Mans anyway. Then Shane got the drive, and while we'd been in Monaco and then Le Mans and everything, there were other people in Monaco, of course. Rumors started circulating back in Australia, and then when I got back from that trip, I remember sitting in the car with RD. We were driving back from QR, and he was like, all these rumors are circulating about you and Shane, and it's just, all these rumors are out. At no point did he actually ask me, are they true?
Probably didn't want to know.
So I stayed completely silent. This whole conversation, he talked at me for about 20 minutes about these rumors, and I did not say a word because I was like, well, I'm not lying. He hasn't asked me, so I'm not lying. And then a few weeks went by, and RD was like, so it's true. These rumors are true. And I was like, yeah, you didn't ask me last time, so I didn't say anything. And then next thing you know, we're having an intervention. It's like me, RD, and Chris Brady.
Yeah, I remember Brady.
And he was
Team
brought
physio
in.
at
He was
AAA.
brought in as the mediator, right? Who we both, one of our best family friends. And 2 hours this thing went on for. Of RD, the first hour, RD was like, "You're ruining your life. You're ruining 888. I gave up everything for you." What did you give up? Anyway, yeah, a whole hour of listening to like how I was screwing everything up in everyone's lives, and the whole world was going to implode. And then
panicking.
Chris was like, "Jessie, at some point you're going to say something." I was like, well, yeah, if I can get a word in edgeways, I will. So then I said something. I'm not going to tell you what I said, but I said something. And RD just started crying. He got tears in his
Really?
eyes and started crying. Not like full blubbing,
She said
but
I'm in love
like
with him.
he got, no, God
Elliot.
no.
I really want to know what you said
I
now.
absolutely
This
would
is the listeners are going to want to know. You can't leave
I
us
know
like
you're
that.
going to want to know. but
I
I'm
want
not
everyone to
saying it.
speculate. Go on, fire it in.
Yeah,
I think
comments
it's-
below.
I
What do you
think it's
reckon?
RD.
It was not. I did not say I love him. Absolutely not. Those words do not come out of my
We
mouth.
just said you're not loving, so it wasn't going to be
No,
that.
no, I'm not.
Wow, and then that
So-
changed. So that obviously
And then
changed
RD
the
was suddenly
trajectory
like,
of
"Oh, he's the son I never had."
that. Oh,
And he will, it was very, so before everybody knew, Shane and I had COVID at the same time. It was just after the Grand Prix in 22. And so we, both tested positive at the same time.
You hadn't kept your social
And-
distancing, obviously.
No social distancing. That was when it was young and fresh. So very social distance now.
yeah.
But we had COVID at the same time. And at the time, I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment in Brisbane. I was like, I can't stay here. Like, I can't be in isolation
Yeah.
for a week in a 1-bedroom apartment. I will lose my marbles. So packed a bag, went and stayed at Shane's for the week without anyone knowing. And RD called Shane every day. Called him to check in on him every
just to say
single
hello.
day.
He's just like
he
literally got the
called
sun in
me
your
like
bag.
once all week. And then when he called me, he was like, yeah, I've just been on the phone to Shane. I was like,
Oh, have you?
mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
That's awesome.
So yeah, unbeknownst to everyone, we were in the same place, and yeah.
Okay, so Shane
Daily
didn't have
phone calls.
the awkward conversation then.
Yeah, did Shane ever have to come out?
Shit, no. This was something that pissed me off about the whole thing. Was Shane got off so easy. Shane had the easiest. He told his dad, and his dad apparently said, "Oh, she's a nice lady," and like that was it. Obviously, doesn't know me very well, but yeah, he got off easy, and that pissed me off. It made me resentful. Whereas I got all the shit for it. And then when it came out in the media and all of that stuff, it was like
that was
being portrayed as a glamorous motorsport enthusiast. And it's like, fucking give me a break.
I think everyone will know right now after this pod, it's very clear that's not the case.
Yeah.
No, it's just inconvenient that we happen to work in the same sport.
But that is, how often does that happen though? Like my partner Shannon, she worked in the sport, and you just meet through usually your workplace. Once you leave school, where do you spend most time with people?
Where else in this sport do you meet anyone?
Well, when you're traveling so much too, you're kind of always with the same group of people. So
you have to have a very understanding personal life. I think I take my hat off to anyone in NASCAR, especially those guys who've been doing it for a really long time, who have families and lives back home. Like it is really hard to balance. And something that we always did really well at Triple Eight, and I hope is still continuing on, I'm sure it is that we always made the family feel very much part of it. Like every social event, we always invited the partner, and then whenever we could, if it was a kid environment, we would always make it like a kid-friendly party or whatever, if people wanted to. Like, we sometimes put it out, like, do you want this to be a kid event or not a kid event?
Actually,
and we did that really well at Triple Eight.
I remember one year there was the option you could take your family to Hamilton Island or Boys Trip in Bangkok.
Thailand. Boys Trip?
Yeah. Well, you...
Excuse me.
Yeah, actually, you were there. You got just as pissed
Me,
as all of
Hannah,
us that
and
entire
Mel,
week.
we were representing.
But I remember it was like, you can take your partners there or you can go on your own to here. And I think there was like 2 people of the entire staff that went to Hamo. Everyone else came and had
their partners probably didn't know about it. Now you've just told the world, mate. They'll be in trouble.
There were a
they
couple
won't know it
of
was an
people
option.
who tried to hide it. Yeah, definitely. The ones who were like, oh, we're going to Bangkok, and there's nothing at all about going to Kuala or Hamilton Island.
It is a brutal sport for partners that haven't grown up around it, because you just don't understand as well the emotional roller coaster, and also I think the performance every week, I've always felt, dictates your happiness for the next 2 weeks. If it's 3 weeks to the next event and you've had a bad one, it's really hard to come home. And I know I appreciate Shannon for that, because the amount of times I come home from a week and you just need the space, and you need someone that understands why you need the space. But it must be hard with kids and things. I couldn't imagine, like
that must have almost been
hard.
harder for you also when Shan was at different teams, and like if they had a good race weekend and you didn't, like, or vice versa, like that can make the situation awkward also.
Definitely. And I probably felt guilty for Shannon because she never felt like she could celebrate her success in front of me, which I understand that, but you also need to celebrate because it doesn't last forever.
Yep.
So I look back there and definitely, I feel like you feel guilty, but you're doing your own thing. You literally, and that's the thing when you do work in the sport. We were competing against each other. I mean, I came second at Bathurst the first time. Great day. She won it. And it's like, it's that like trying to celebrate like you've won it with your team, and then all of a sudden my second doesn't seem so great. And she was always conscious of trying to not bring that home. But you look back and I think, fuck, I don't know. I think it's a great sport. And unfortunately, you have success and some don't, some do. Like, it's just part of it. I love today. I asked you about it and you're like, I'm good at the moment. Like, we just had the best weekend on the weekend, just gone. And I just relate to that so much, being in performance side of things, like, dictates your mood. You come home,
absolutely.
you're happy. You have a bad race weekend and you come home with the shits for the next week.
Coming out of VIR, IMSA at VIR, Pratt Miller won their first race of the year. We extended our championship lead. Like,
fantastic.
You set goals going into a race weekend, and we ticked off those goals and achieved those goals, and then you feel really like buoyed going into the next one. Which for us, we've got a car on track at Nürburgring for GT World Challenge Europe this weekend, and then over the next big one for us is World Endurance Championship at COTA, not this week, but next week. So that would be, and that's like got extra pressure because it's sort of like a home round. Yeah. But then it's like, it's just back to back. So from there to I have to leave COTA during the race because I fly to Japan the next day for the Suzuka 1000. And then from there, it's the Indianapolis 6 hour for IMSA. And it's just like, it's full on. There was a part in the year where I looked at my calendar and I was like, yeah, I feel like I'm on the way down now. And then I looked at it and I was like, I'm halfway through. I am literally at the halfway mark of all of my travel. And I think we've had something like, since the start of the year, I think we've had something like 4 weekends where we haven't had a single car on track somewhere in the world. And it's not like you can just, yes, I'm not directly involved in like the running of that car on track, but I have to be on. Like,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
We have like an issue tracking system and a customer support system where the customers like we have to be available for them, or someone, an engineer on the customer support side has to be available for them around the clock. And we're racing in all different time zones around the world, so it's full on. Luckily that's not me. Like, I don't have to be the one diagnosing why the car won't fire at 2 a.m, but it's still like, it's,
well, like you said with the
I have to be available for when they say, we had this failed or that happened, and what are you going to do for me to compensate that? And those the business side of the conversations as opposed to the technical side.
Well, very nice. Well, it's been a good chat. I think it's I'm very appreciative letting us stay here, letting us take over the bar. Love the young family with the little farm. You got the adopted animals everywhere.
Yeah,
we have been.
Have we actually?
I mean, you just helped clear up
I
dinner.
did the dishes tonight.
Yeah, so very grateful for that.
Yeah, I took the plates off the table.
You took 2 off. That was good. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, you moved them from like this side to that side. So yeah, thank you. Do better next time.
No, thank you for having us. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for
Give us a
having
couple
me.
of hours. We know it's past your bedtime.
It actually is. It's 9:45.
And all we've got to do now is get that hummingbird out of the living room. We're done.
That's a very good point. I did set up a little, for everyone at home, we have a hummingbird trapped in our kitchen. Of all the random things, all the random problems to have when you get home from work. Oh shit, Shane left the door open, now I've got a hummingbird in the kitchen.
Well, let's
so
go get
I set
that
up a little
hummingbird.
light and a little lure to try and get it out. So we'll see.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, Jess.
Thank you guys.